Hi, and welcome to Silva English Online. Today I want to look at a great website that I like to use with my students, whether it be with my business English students who have to meet with people from other countries, or students who just like to travel to different countries, or sometimes I even use it just as a conversation piece with students who are interested in different cultures. This is a great website. This website's great because it helps you not just to understand other cultures, for example, the culture of someone that you're going to be meeting with for a business meeting, but it helps you to understand your own culture as well. And that way, and on this page that they have on the website, it's called Country Comparison. You get to compare your culture with that of the other people's cultures. And so it's very interesting, it's very helpful, very informative, and it is extremely important to be prepared when you're going to be meeting with people from other countries so that you're not going to be doing anything that may be insulting to them or you don't have any misunderstandings. So let's start with a country that I'm familiar with because I work with people from this country all the time. Let's start with Japan. So what this does is it takes the culture and it divides it up into these different segments: power distance, individualism, masculinity, uncertainty avoidance, long-term orientation, and indulgence. So they score low on indulgence, as would be expected. Okay, long-term orientation, they tend to think long-term and think ahead, plan ahead. Uncertainty avoidance, they tend to avoid risky situations. Masculinity, you might be interested to know, just means that they are competitive, okay? So they are one of the most competitive masculine societies in the world. And it says here, in corporate Japan, you see that employees are most motivated when they are fighting in a winning team against their competitors. So it's really interesting. And that's important to know when you're going into a meeting, you know, with somebody from Japan, for example. Power distance, and this power distance has to do with the hierarchy of a society and how conscious people are of their positions, okay, in that society. So let's type in for the next one, the next country that we're going to compare with Japan. Let's type in the United States, okay? This is where I'm from, so although I've lived outside the country for a very long time, the United States, let's look at them. Of course, indulgence, they scored higher than Japan. Long-term orientation, maybe we don't plan ahead as much. Uncertainty avoidance, we take more risks. Masculinity, it's a lower score than Japan. Individualism, higher score. Power distance is lower, okay? So we're not as honed in on the hierarchy, maybe. And then you can even type in another country here. I think you can type in as much, I think you can type in up to 4 countries here. Portugal, which is where I live. So they do recognize, they have a very high score in power distance, okay? So they do really recognize the differences in society, you know, who you are, where you rank in society in the hierarchy. Individualism, they're very low scoring, so they tend to work together more. Masculinity, they're very low scoring, not as competitive, okay, as Americans and Japanese. Uncertainty avoidance, very high scoring, so they do tend to avoid risky situations. Long-term orientation, almost the same as America, okay, so not planning ahead so much, not like they do in Japan. Indulgence, somewhere in between, well, lower than America and Japan. So they're not as indulgent. So this is very interesting, and it's good to know who you're going to meet and what their society is like, what their culture is like. I also like to look at things like what to do in a meeting, what not to do in a meeting. For example, in Japan, when somebody gives you their business card, it's extremely important to hold it in both hands, to not put it away, but to keep it out on the table. These are little things that are very important when you're going into a meeting for business. So this is just a website I wanted to show people that I like to use in my lessons. I thought it might be helpful. And for a free 15-minute trial lesson, contact me at silvaenglishonline@gmail.com. Thank you.